which I'm kind of regretting that I put this book off until the end of the month. Inundating your eyeballs at every second you look at the internet. TGIF, ladies. You should read it. This was freaking good. Girding my loins. Trying not to cry. Trauma. Hi, I'm Sam. Today is Friday, and I don't have any plans this weekend. And it also happens to be the end of August. So today is August 26th. And I figured this weekend would be a fun time to try doing a 24-hour readathon for the first time. So I am not a person who will willingly give up sleep. So I'm not gonna do 24 hours consecutively, but I got this idea from the YouTube channel ゚MoGᵃℕK, where she did a 24-hour readathon, but she did 24 hours total. So she basically had this like countdown timer and she only let it go while she was reading. And then it became a challenge to see how many books she could read within that total 24 hours. So that's what I'm gonna do. So the books that I have left on my TBR that I would really like to finish this weekend are ゚MoGᵃℕK by Brom. And then I'm really close to being done with the short story collection by Miranda, No One Belongs Here More Than You. And then the last book, which I'm kind of regretting that I put this book off until the end of the month, but that's just how it goes. The last book I want to read is A Little Life. So if reading for 24 total hours this weekend doesn't kill me, then this book will. And if they both don't, then maybe I'm just like the strongest person on the internet. So I think what I'm gonna do is get started with ゚MoGᵃℕK, get some momentum going. I'm just gonna read until I get tired. So probably only like a few hours, because I'm an old lady. TGIF, ladies, let's get this 24-hour readathon going. Okay, see you in there. Okay, day 2. So last night I was able to read for 2 hours, 47 minutes, and 45 seconds. That felt really long, but that's really not that much of 24 hours. So yeah, I'm hoping I can get a lot more reading done today, but I have made my way through part of ゚MoGᵃℎK, 138 pages. Yeah, it's really good so far. I am, I feel like this sucked me in pretty fast, and I really like how each chapter starts with a really cool illustration to kind of give you a little taste of like, hey, this is where the chapter is going to be heading. I'm just really enjoying the full color illustrations so that I can flip to them as we're introduced to these characters. It really enriches the story a lot. So yeah, I'm not going to give any spoilers of anything I read in this blog. Really liking this so far. I'm hoping I can maybe finish it today, so we'll see how much reading I can get done. But yeah, I went to the gym this morning, I ate breakfast, I got a coffee, so I am like locked and loaded and ready to read as much as I can today. Just finished Slewfoot. Yeah, this delivered. Wow. So I think for my August TBR, I chose this based on the prompt, hyped book everyone loves, and she lives up to the hype. She lives up to the hype. This was so good, so fun. I was just like so pleased. You should read it. This was freaking good. Something about this and like having the illustrations included almost made me feel like a kid again. And that's not to say that this is like little kid content, because it really isn't. It's very adult, and towards the end it gets pretty gory. There's like this element of just like wonder, and it just reminded me of reading really good books when I was a kid, and that it evoked kind of that same feeling. I'm excited to talk about this in my August wrap up a little bit more. Okay, update for my 24-hour timer. So I have 18 hours, 11 minutes, and 17 seconds left in the 24-hour readathon, so still a pretty big chunk. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish the full 24 hours in this single weekend, so I'll probably have to like continue on into the next week. I think next I'm gonna pick up No One Belongs Here More Than You by Miranda July just to try to knock that out, but I'm gonna go eat and grab a beer and keep this rig rolling. Hi. It is Sunday, so day 3 of the 24-hour readathon. Last night, in addition to finishing Slewfoot, I also finished No One Belongs Here More Than You by Miranda July. I annotated this quite a bit, so there were a lot of really memorable lines, and in general, I just love Miranda July's writing, but I ended up only giving this 3 out of 5 stars. Short story collections are so hit or miss for me. So yeah, there's 16 stories in here, and I really only loved 3 of them, but the ones that I didn't love, I still enjoyed the writing, so that's why I settled on a 3 out of 5. But I have since transitioned into reading A Little Life, so I started this last night, and I am a little bit of the way through it. So today I have 15 hours, 19 minutes, and 13 seconds left on the readathon. And yeah, I just finished part 1 of A Little Life. I'm now on page 97. So we're starting part 2, The Postman. This is going to be getting more into the background of Jude, who is maybe the most troubled of the 4 characters. So I can't remember if I even described what this book is about, but for those of you who have not heard of this book, which I don't really know how you've been able to escape hearing about this book, but if you have been so fortunate to not have this inundating your eyeballs at every second you look at the internet, this book is about 4 male friends who became friends in college and are now living sort of those like post-grad professional lives, and sort of their struggles to come into their own and, you know, like stake their claim. But I think that they're all kind of feeling their like the post-grad blues in different ways. And they all come from very different backgrounds, and their like familial relationships are very different. Their careers are all pretty different. So it's interesting to go back and forth between the four of them. Although we haven't really heard much about Jude at all, except for through the perspective of the other three friends. We've gotten to know Malcolm, JB, and Willem, and they're starting to become more distinct to me. But we don't really know much about Jude. But just from the first part, it definitely seems like he will probably be the source of a lot of the sadness. But I don't know. I am girding my loins, because I think this is going to be pretty sad. But we'll see. I haven't cried so far, haven't even gotten close, but I think the whole thing with this book is it's like the author is trying to get you really connected to the characters, make you love them so that she can basically like systematically disassemble them in front of you. And that's going to evoke a really heart-wrenching response. This is the buildup. I'm getting attached to some of the characters. I got into this more quickly than I thought I would. The first maybe like 10 to 15 pages, I was like, man, I don't know if this is gonna be it, but it's not a poorly written book by any means. I do feel engaged, but I am nervous about part 2. So yeah, I'm gonna quit procrastinating and get started on The Postman. Hi, it's Monday. I guess technically day 4 of the 24-hour readathon. I have 13 hours, 28 minutes, and 7 seconds left, so quite a bit. I am that far of the way through A Little Life. I know like the 200 to 250 page range is supposed to be pretty rough. So I have with me a nearly empty container of Kleenex. So I have also supplemented with a fresh roll of toilet paper because I have no more Kleenex in the house. I also have a freshly cracked beer, so I think I'm ready to start reading and trying not to cry. I haven't gotten close to crying, but just like Jude's life and the little pieces we've been given so far, it's like we're incrementally given all of this information, and it is getting worse and worse as we hear more. We'll see what page I crack at. It'd be kind of interesting if I didn't crack at all, but I think that that's pretty unlikely. Please send good vibes. Hi, it's me. I just finished part 2, so I'm now on page 243, and I still haven't cried yet, not even remotely close. So I don't know if this is just gonna be the type of story where it doesn't get me in that way where I'm gonna cry. I'm not saying that I don't cry easily, because I really do, but it's just for very specific things. So I'm wondering if this book isn't gonna have any of the specific triggers, I guess, that immediately make me cry, or like any of the themes that are really heart-wrenching to me. I don't know, it's good so far. I can definitely feel myself connecting with the characters. I care about the characters. I don't know, for some reason I'm still feeling like I really am just like an observer of these characters. So even when like these really awful things are revealed about them, or like things that happen to them, I can objectively tell you it's sad, but I'm not like scream crying. I don't know, maybe I'm being arrogant because I'm still only, you know, this far into it. Maybe further down the line I will be proven wrong, but so far I got no tears.
And anyway, how was a friendship any more codependent than a relationship? Why was it admirable when you were 27, but creepy when you were 37? Why wasn't friendship as good as a relationship? Why wasn't it even better? It was two people who remained together day after day, bound not by sex or physical attraction, or money, or children, or property, but only by the shared agreement to keep going. The mutual dedication to a union that could never be codified. Friendship was witnessing another's slow drip of miseries and long bouts of boredom and occasional triumphs. It was feeling honored by the privilege of getting to be present for another person's most dismal moments and knowing that you could be dismal around him in return.
Hi, it's me. So I just finished A Little Life by Hanya, Yanagihara. You may have heard of it. I was surprised that I did not cry at all while reading this. I don't know, there was just something about it that it just didn't crack me. And I don't know if that's just because it didn't have the specific themes that are really sad to me or what. I did feel myself feeling really connected to the characters. It wasn't that I didn't care what the characters did or what happened to them. Going in, since I was so prepared that I knew it was going to be so sad, so incredibly sad. And then once I understood, oh, this one character is going to just have a really shit time this whole book. From there, I kind of was not really surprised by anything that happened or any of the suffering that he had to endure. Because I had heard so much about this book before reading it, I think I was able to manage my expectations really well. So I wasn't caught as off guard as maybe some other people were when they read this for the first time. But I just don't want people to think I'm a heartless crone, which who knows, maybe I am. I really think I need to stew on it a little bit before I give it a star rating, because this is kind of a tricky one for me. I can see why people really easily give this a 5-star. There is something so rich about this story in that, I think if you follow any set of characters over decades of their lives, you do get this sense that you feel really close to them and really connected to them because you have been privy to so much of their lives. I don't think this is a book I will ever reread. I'm trying to think criticisms of this book about how the trauma that is depicted in this is so over the top and unrealistically so, and because it's the majority of the trauma is relegated to a single character, makes it that much more unrealistic. I can definitely see that, but that aside, I do think that the writing was really good. There were a lot of parts that really spoke to me. Obviously, there were a lot of really sad, heartbreaking parts. I feel it's kind of hanging out between a 4 and 5 star. It's probably not a 5-star, but there's something in me that's saying this needs to be more highly rated, mostly just because of how it was written. But I do not think it needed to be this long. There were certain aspects of it now in hindsight, I'm I really didn't need to know that about that character, or I really didn't need this chapter. But it's clear that the author wanted to write a really expansive, interwoven, decade-spanning novel, and that is what she did. I know that another criticism of this book is its depictions of disability. Not great. I think Hanya Yanagihara didn't really do a lot of research or talk to any actual disabled people when creating her characters. There are a lot of instances where it sort of promotes this ideation that disabled people are less than or less capable than able-bodied people. So I think if that's something that you're really not interested in reading about, or something that really bugs you, this probably isn't the book for you, because there is a lot of discussions and depictions of a disabled person struggling and being abused, and just a lot of negativity and a lot of negative talk about his disabilities. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna stew on this for a little bit. I think that's all I'm gonna say for now about A Little Life. I'll talk more about it in my September wrap up. In hindsight, I feel like this maybe wasn't the best book to pick for a 24-hour readathon because this just took up the majority of the readathon. I have 37 minutes and 33 seconds left in the readathon. Now it's like, what the heck am I gonna read in 37 minutes? I'm gonna see if I have like a really short novella I could maybe try and crank out. So I will check in with you guys when I start whatever I start next. Okay, bye. Okay, so I think for the last 37 minutes and 33 seconds, I'm going to read The Black Project by Gareth Brooks. A teenage boy, I think, builds a girlfriend. So I think it's supposed to be kind of like Frankenstein vibes, probably. Instead of being normal, like just drawn images, the author actually embroidered almost all of the images. So it's a really unique art style. The art is like embroidery, and then it looks like the text and all of the dialogue are like handwritten. I'm hoping I can maybe finish this one in 37 minutes, but we shall see. Okay, hi. So I completed reading for 24 hours and I was able to complete 4 books and I read 1,504 pages. So pretty happy with that for my first readathon. So obviously if you've been watching, you know what I read, but for those of you who have just skipped ahead to see what I read, I started out starting and finishing Slewfoot by Brom. This definitely lived up to the hype for me. I really enjoyed this one. I thought the art really elevated the story. Really happy to go along for this ride. I will definitely be reading more Brom in the future. And then I finished No One Belongs Here More Than You by Miranda July. So I think I finished like the last 50 pages of this for the readathon, so it was nice to get this cranked out as well. I almost always give short story collections 3 stars because I always read collections from authors that I like, so I always like the writing, but then there's still only a few stories that really stand out to me. I have not ever given a short story collection 5 out of 5, and this was no different. And then kind of, I think a mistake I made was choosing a huge book for a 24-hour readathon. So I started and finished A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. My version is 814 pages, so this was a behemoth to get through. And I think when I do my next 24-hour readathon, because I want to keep doing these because this was pretty fun, I don't think I'm going to choose super long books like this. Not only was it just like physically very long to get through, but then if you've heard of this book, you know that it is a really emotionally draining book as well. This was pretty good. I ended up giving it, I think I'm going to give it like 4 stars. I didn't cry. It seems like there is a subset of people who don't really cry from this, but I would say if you are in a bad place mentally, probably wait until you're feeling a little bit better before you dive into this one, because this deals with a lot of trauma, suicidal ideation, abuse, pretty much any trigger warning you could possibly think of. So not an easy read, but it was a pretty good one nonetheless, but I just don't think it was a great choice for our 24-hour readathon. Made the readathon feel like it was dragging a little bit. When I finished this, I only had 37 minutes and 33 seconds left in the readathon, so I was like, crap, what do I read? What is something I could like read that quickly? And luckily I had just picked up a copy of The Black Project by Gareth Brooks. So this is a pretty short graphic novel. All of the art in this, or at least most of the art in this, was created with embroidery. So took a really long time for the artist to make, I'm sure. All of the art is really distinct, and I was able to finish this with like a couple minutes to spare. So this ended up working out really well. That is the 24-hour readathon. We did it. I think it's a lot more sustainable to do it in chunks, like you actually read for 24 whole hours rather than like a single day. I'll definitely do this again, especially if you guys like watching this kind of video, because yeah, this was fun to make. So I guess thank you for watching, and check out my other videos if you want. and subscribe if you want. And I will maybe see you in the next video. God, that sounds so cringe, but if you want to hang around, I'd love to have you.